Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to HR1 webinar. Whether you're tuning in live from your office, home, or somewhere in between, thank you so much for joining us for a conversation that promises to be packed with insights and real value. My name is Sugandha, and I am the community manager at HR1. HR1 is the AI supercharged simplest HR software to automate complex HR processes from hire to retire. Loved by 2,000 plus brands, trusted by 10 lakh plus active users, at HR1, our goal is not just to build smart HR tech, but also to spark smarter conversations across the HR space. And today's session is a step in that direction. The topic for today's webinar is Closing the Loop, how smart recruiters end the ghosting loop. And as HRs, we all know candidate ghosting has become one of the most frustrating challenges in recruitment today. Whether it's no shows for interviews, last minute dropouts, or just disappearing after an offer. Today, we'll explore why this happens, how recruiters can proactively address it, and what it takes to build a ghost proof culture in our organizations. As we go along, feel free to drop your questions in the comment box. We'll make sure to pick them up after the masterclass during the Q&A. Joining me today, we have four incredible leaders from the world of talent acquisition who bring diverse perspectives and rich experience. We have Sweta Singh, Director, Talent Acquisition, APAC at Material. Sweta has been at the forefront of scaling recruitment across regions, building agile TA teams, and solving some of the toughest challenges around candidate experience. We have Shreyas Nambiar, Director, Internal Talent Acquisition at Randstad Global Capability Center. With deep expertise in funnel analytics and internal mobility, Shreyas has a unique vantage point on how organizations can diagnose and fix ghosting patterns. We also have Ritika Katyal, Associate Director, Talent Acquisition at VVDN Technologies. Ritika has been instrumental in shaping hiring strategies in the technology space, where ghosting can often derail fast-paced recruitment cycles. And last but not the least, we have Tapaswini Srinivas, Head of People Strategy and Growth at WMGO. She specializes in scaling businesses from zero to one across talent, people, and compliance, bringing a strategic lens to how organizations grow sustainably while building strong people foundation. Welcome all of you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sugandha.
So we'll start with we'll start with the first section of our webinar, which is understanding the ghosting problem. And this section is all about diagnosing the issue. Ghosting nowadays, it isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's a reality recruiters are grappling across industries. To truly fix it, we first need to understand where it happens and why. And we'll start with a question to Shreyas. And the question is, where in the recruitment funnel do you see the highest ghosting rates?
Thank you so much. Let me just start by conveying my appreciation to the HR1 team, Sugandha, and rest of the team members for having me be part of the panel. And thank you for the rest of the panel members and all the members for taking the time out to be part of the webinar. All of us from the talent acquisition fraternity understand this is probably the most painful reality, one of the biggest challenges that we face in any effort in trying to figure out how to diagnose it and solution it properly is the step in right direction. And I appreciate HR1 for giving us the opportunity. Jumping straight into the question, my first question is: it time to rethink post offer engagement as a shared responsibility? um, I would say the short answer is yes. It cannot be a situation wherein a recruiter is only responsible for this situation. To state the issue very clearly, we all of us have seen how individuals offer shop till the very end, till about a day or two prior to actually the joining date, and it's not just one or two interventions post post giving the offer that is going to solve the problem. And to see where exactly the highest rate of drop comes in, from my personal experience, there are two places. One is the during the process, once a couple of interviews have been done, and there's a little bit of a gap in the process, and then post offer, between offer rolling out and the candidate actually joining, something really bad happens, and we end up losing huge number of our candidates. Now, these kind of calls are important because we need to come up with some solutions. So i would I would like to place some solutions, tried and tested things that I have over here, and I would like the panel and the rest of the members to also think about it, synthesize it, and probably give some questions that can help me understand as well. Excuse me. One of the things that I had come up with, it was something called as a commitment circle, wherein it was a small group of people: the recruiter in question who's working on the role, the hiring manager who's doing the actual hiring, and a third member, a non-manager, who's going to be the buddy for this new joiner. Now, the engagement is designed in a way to make the entire experience more experiential, more emotional, so that the candidate can connect with the company and things go beyond numbers. What I understand is, if all conversations are around numbers, then any other competitor can give an extra buck and you end up losing a candidate. So create an experience which is smooth, which creates deep engagement, which makes them feel that they are part of a larger family, or and above the offer, the numbers. And how it is implemented, how this commitment circle is implemented, is the hiring manager actually takes in the responsibility to pick up the phone, speak to the candidate after the offer is given, and the conversation is around what he or she or they can expect once they are in the company. What exactly would they be working on? What kind of projects they'd be working on? What did they like in the resume? What did they like about this candidate during the interview? What this particular individual have that other candidates did not have? Make it more real, make it less numbers and tactical, make it more real, experiential. The buddy, I mentioned non-managerial buddy, a buddy who's at the same level, who will speak about the day-to-day experiences of working in that team, working for that manager, working in that company, how things have been in the last 1 year, and what exactly they have to look forward to. Every candidate has that couple of questions. It's a big risk to join a new company. How will the manager be? How will the culture be? Solve those questions before the joining date. Do that immediately after the offer. Okay. Moving to the first problem that I mentioned, the first drop up rate is right after the interview. Couple of reasons that happens. One thing, our community is infamous for not informing candidates if they have been rejected. Now we have to pick up the slack over here. any kind of any kind of missed touch point, right? If there is 48 hours of gap between the first interview or the second interview and the subsequent interview, the candidate would consider that as a rejection because they are used to not getting feedback from recruiters. So expectation management needs to be done very well. They need to know there are several other candidates in the process. There are 4 interviews, it takes 2 weeks. Give me some time. Believe me, I will tell you, if you're a reject, if you're a select, you can expect a conversation from me as well. So we have to take that slack as well. Okay. So to sum it up, two places where I have seen the most amount of offer drops: during the process after the candidates have invested some time, and the highest number post offer before joining, because they are offer shopping till the very last day.
Thank you so much. And I think this is absolutely a problem where you say that, candidates experience or think or assume that we're not going to get an answer and assume that it's a rejection. So, my next question is for Tapaswini. What does it signal when a candidate goes after multiple rounds?
Okay. Yeah, first of all, thank you, Sugandha, as well as thanks HR1 team. And it's a privilege to be part of this bright minds. And of course, it's like me too kind of a thing, right? So ghosting, yeah, once upon a time, yeah, that was when I had faced similar kind of issues. I think eventually we have also kind of tried to find out where are the loopholes between the entire process and then how do we fix it. Yes. So with my experience, what I actually see, right, the ghosting, it actually doesn't start at the later stages or after, right? But I think it is all about somebody is facing, there is no purpose of it, or there is no growth to the opportunity that we are actually showcasing. And in terms of, let's say, there is a misalignment between the personal goals and as well as the company, in terms of the requirement, right? So that is when even the candidates do kind of think of ghosting. And also there might be a few people, most of the time I get to hear that they're not responding, right? So I think that is a more easier way rather than confronting a recruiter and saying that no, right? So it is most easier to just go silent and rather than saying a no. At the same time, when you pick up an offer, so when they as I think Shreyas was talking about, when there is a delay in the process, right, during the interview process. So I have something to say here. When the organization's having multiple rounds of discussions, so that is when there is a delay, right? And so that could also kind of eventually lead to disengagement of a candidate. So eventually the candidate might feel this might not be a kind of a role that I would be looking out for, because we are competing in the market. So there is, let's say there is one candidate and there are hundreds of roles similar to who is hunting for that good actual candidate, and eventually we end up losing that candidate throughout the process because we could not compete. That competitive advantage is something that we also absolutely have to look at it in terms of, I'm not saying that we should not have multiple rounds, but speed is something that absolutely every organization and every recruiter has to look into it, right? And then mismatch in the expectation. So throughout, if the expectation from the start till the end, right, the interview process, so the candidate must have expected something, before appearing for an interview, but then the interview experience turned out to be something else. So I think that is where the ghosting starts, there, the eventually the candidates start falling out between the funnels and after the funnels because of the entire process. So interview experience is something that we may also have to kind of uh, fix it. I think I would probably will, once we discuss future, further to all the Ritikas and Shwetas, I think we'll have a lot of insights coming in. How do we go about it? Yeah.
Right, and I think ghosting is a two-way thing and also is competition,
Yeah.
where we have competition between candidates. The candidate, we have to also compete for us to,
Sure.
put our company forward.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. And since now that we have mapped out the problem, let's now move on to the solution. At the end of the day, ghosting thrives when candidates don't feel engaged or respected in the process that we have discussed. But recruiters have the power to change that, and uh, through thoughtful initiatives, they can definitely do that. So, my question is next to Sweta. What are some practical process redesigns that may have worked out for you in reducing ghosting? You're on mute, Sweta.
So sorry. That's a great question, Sugandha. And yes, ghosting is a real problem and it's a two-way process. Let's be honest about it, right? Technology plays a very important role when you want to actually reduce and challenge this particular issue. So, for me, what I have done for my team is we have created certain processes, certain designs, and leveraged certain tools while communicating it very clearly to the team that ghosting needs to be reduced. Candidates must feel heard, and while using technology and AI, they shouldn't feel the entire process has gone colder. So here there are two aspects to it. First, it's very easy and it feels very connected when a recruiter picks up the call and talks to a candidate, and when a candidate feels that they are reachable and they can approach the recruiter who is in touch with, right? The practical problem comes here when a recruiter is dealing with volume of resumes. They might not have that much of bandwidth or different priorities to cater to, and they might not be able to respond to every phone call or every email or the entire candidate list in pipeline, right? Like we have seen it in like in a very generic scenarios, the roles, the vanilla skills or the easy filling skills, you have two roles and you get 2000 applications, and it's practically impossible for you to reply to all those 2000 people. But I think that's where in that problem the technology comes in picture, wherein you can use it in two way. First one, just letting them know where they are, and second, working and using technology as a tool to touch base, stay in touch with them, right? Most of the time, what companies are doing, you get a rejection email or you get a selection email, and that's all, and then recruiters takes it up. But still, that workload may not permit them to continue and maintain that chain of communication during that entire hiring process of few weeks, right? But if you enable your system, your tool, that every step, as soon as you move the candidate from one step to other, that tool is informing the candidate, your that problem gets sorted, right? Again, when you say using AI, using chatbots, all those things are good. With a disclaimer, can be used, but ensuring the process doesn't get colder and people don't feel that I'm only talking to machines and there is no one to take care of my needs, right? So I think the best way which I have seen is working is first design your systems and enable it to enable your team, right? Work with the system. It's not a threat, it's a tool that you can use very effectively. Okay. And second thing, what I have done differently is I have put candidate experience or feedback as a KRA for my team. So that is one criteria of evaluation wherein I do check in the mid-year reviews or final year reviews. Recruiters, if they have got I had a very good experience working with this recruiter message and how many of them they have got. Once they are those things are in places, your recruiters by default will ensure that candidate experience is good. People are staying touch base and communication is in place. That has been very effective when it comes to managing the ghosting piece. I'll I'll pause here. I think I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. And these are amazing points. Using technology definitely is one initiative that we can take, but also humanizing it so that the candidate doesn't feel that they're talking to machines. That is also an amazing point. And I do have a follow-up question with for Ritika. Uh, we have to be honest with our candidates, but do you think that recruiters should be more upfront and talk about ghosting early with the candidates?
Thank you so much for this platform. Yeah, definitely, I would like to answer this, and we all have to be very thoughtful on this because it actually plays a key role when we are, when we are a commitment, having commitment to talk about, and so basically, it shows a mutual respect when when you are talking about if it is a no, how we are coming back to the candidate, and if candidate is having a no, how he is coming back to us. So it plays brings the situation normal, when we shows mutual respect among each other. But though it's not happening much in the in current market today, so it also gives a commitment from recruiter side when he is coming back, and if there is any gap in a delay of interview process, how he's coming back to the candidate. So these things actually plays role and shows courtesy towards each other. So yeah, as for me, it plays a major role. And so the key communication which comes about here is that how mutually we are accepting the gaps, how candidate is coming back to us and telling about his challenges if he is not joining, because 30 to 90 days is a very broad time. Actually, the notice period, high notice period candidates, they are getting a number of options in the market and they are availing. Shreyas also highlighted in the very first communication that they are actually looking for a counter offers even a day before of their DOJs, next DOJs, or maybe I would say last working days. And it's happening. We need to accept this practically, and to overcome this, definitely how we are communicating, how we are addressing their queries, uh, and reverting back to them plays a key role. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ritika. And definitely the mutual respect and being honest with them, and also especially that accepting the fact that the candidates are going to still look for options, and
Yeah.
not just one day prior, but even after joining, they still have got offers and they keep considering that. So I think this loop never ends. But definitely, we can, of course, with data and some diagnostics, definitely move forward to finding solution to that problem as well. And we often say that what gets measured gets managed, but honestly, in ghosting, many companies don't even measure the right signals. The key is spotting red flags before they turn into lost candidates. So my next question is to Shreyas. If you could share some funnel matrix which you think can track to predict the drop-offs.
There you go. Some really great points shared by my colleagues, and it'd be nice to come back and kind of synthesize everything that has been mentioned over here. Talking about the funnel matrix, you are completely right. One thing that was going through my mind when Sweta was talking about putting candidate experience right in the middle of the entire process in terms of KRAs. I remember one meeting that I had with one of my seniors where um, the the pressure was to perform exceptionally high. I mean, the load was exceptionally high, and each and every recruiter having 20-25 roles essentially had only 2 to 3 minutes to speak to every candidate, and then they were being measured in terms of how good the candidate experience was. The candidates would get a link, they would click on the link and measure the quality of engagement, and everybody in the team was getting low engagement scores. Now, it was a situation where the management wanted people to play football, but at the end of the day, they were being asked how many runs were you making, because these are completely different games. And what happens is, there's also a difference between recruitment and talent acquisition per se. One is a very strategic long-term process. One is reactive in nature. You wait for certain openings and then jump to the market and find the first one who's available and then run with that person, and probably hit the temple or mosque or church on the way right before date of joining, hoping that the candidate actually joins. So talking about funnel matrices that work is, I mean, I don't want to sound very radical, but couple of AI tools I would like to mention. Cannot take the name of those tools, but I've come across certain AI tools which measure now how soon the offer is opened, how many times they are opened, did they open it, did they go through all the pages and go through the benefits page as well or not. One of the other things that I've learned is an AI chatbot that is used uh, essentially to give answers to questions around benefits and HR operations. Essentially, picks it up if most of the questions are around surface level numbers. What number am I going to get? How what in hand will I get, etc. Nothing to do with in terms nothing to do with benefits, nothing to do with cap facility, nothing in a way that shows this person is thinking of how to commute to the office, come to the office on the first day, etc., etc. Now, none of these things are actually measured. What we usually measure, and we all again have to be, all of us have to be honest, we measure turnaround time, we measure how many submissions were made, we measure what is the hit ratio, and a lot of a recruiter's worth comes down to the how quickly they are able to fill a position. Simple and straightforward. So certain level roles 30 days, certain 45 days, certain 60 days, and we, no matter what we do, recruitment and talent acquisition is going to be a sales function. There will be timelines, there will be numbers involved. It's a numbers game, right? But we need to give KPIs and KRAs, and we need to have funnel matrices involved that measure candidate experience, that essentially measure how well the candidate liked. You don't need expensive tools. You can, like a Shweta or I or Ritika, Tapaswini, can pick up the phone, random candidate. Do you know what role you're talking about? I mean, you're interviewing for. Have you gone through the JD? Have you actually gone through all the things that are required? Something that shows depth. We even have candidates at senior levels turning up at interviews who have not gone through the JD. So that just like Tapaswini was talking about, the ghosting has started. You just don't realize it. So we need to look at all of these things, the entire length and breadth of how we measure performance, what do we measure, how do we measure success or failure, everything has to be looked at in a very radical manner. And I am not coming up with very clear numbers over here, because I think so it is something that needs to be synthesized. It's something that we need to sit, be very honest about, talk about it, and then probably implement it in our teams and see if it works or not.
Right, absolutely. So again, it's a numbers game. No matter how much we say that HR is all about humanizing, but definitely numbers help us solve a lot of problems. I do have a question open for the panel. Just how Sweta mentioned that she has kept the candidate feedback as a KRA. Do you think that interview no shows and late dropouts should be tracked as a KPI? This is a question open for the panel.
I can attempt answering it, Sugandha. So, my recommendation would not be to track it as a KPI, but for sure, address this using the tools. So, there are AI models which are built, certain companies are building it, wherein they track this sort of behaviors in the candidates. So, you know, AI is impacting every aspect of recruitment. When it comes to searching through mass or volume of resumes and identifying good candidates, first step is checked wherein those searches are coming in and then AI is giving you recommendations, right? Coming to your question on interviews and all, there is a pattern recognition which can happen with the AI model. And that pattern recognition can be around, is the candidate proactively responding to the interview slots? Are they being proactive when it comes to giving timelines or flexible for it? Right? Certain metrics which AI can observe the behaviors on, like how many slots we had to send as a recruiter before the candidate confirmed that yes, they are available for the interview. For that matter, are they chasing for the feedback post interview? Did they proactively give a experience feedback on how was their interview? Like, are they responding to the touch bases? So instead of making everything a KRA or a KPI, maybe few things we should leverage tools better, and of course understand and trust the judgment, while definitely strategizing how to deal with that sort of candidates, because only relying on machine can just give a half baked information again. Maybe that candidate is in a very, I mean, busy project, might not be able to check their emails or phone calls for that matter. So just relying on data never gives you a clear and complete and concrete answer. Gut feeling has to be there, personal judgment has to be there, right? If you are seeing those certain, so I mean, identify the skill sets. Like there are certain skill sets which are less in supply and high in demand, right? Those are the skill sets wherein no company wants to release those good resources, but 10 companies want to hire them. And those are the people who are high on demand and really busy as well. Strategize how you want to approach them in comparison to people wherein you open one role and you get 10,000 applications, because their supply is more and demand is less, right? So strategy has to be driven by that and backed with the technology around. That's how you actually strategize and work around and make it a smooth hiring and recruiting process, and keep a check everywhere instead of actually letting your recruiters feel that everything is my KRA or everything is in KPI.
Right, right, absolutely. So, definitely numbers do tell a story, and as you also said, if we read them well, they can actually help us to stay a step ahead of posting. So now we move on to the next section, which is more about how do we build accountability and ownership. So, candidate ghosting often isn't about the candidate. Sometimes the way we are hiring manager, how the hiring managers engage, or how the recruiters bandwidth plays a huge role. So, fixing ghosting, therefore, is a shared responsibility that we can see as across the talent ecosystem. And I would like to ask Tapaswini, from your perspective, where does the recruiter experience itself needs fixing? Are these the tools, load, or maybe the mindset?
So, I think while I was listening to Shreyas as well as Shweta, right? So, what I would say is all these three are important. but at the same time has a different weightages, right? As Shreyas was talking about the recruiters having overloaded, let's say they're overloaded with a lot of work, they cannot give a human touch to the candidates, and the candidates feel like they are just another resume. Correct. So I think that is where the recruiters have to, like, see, we all talk about what is a problem, like, how are we even fixing that problem? Correct. So, with my experience, what I actually feel what worked really well for me from the recruiter standpoint, if I really have to sum it up, uh, how do they even have to start off going with uh, as tools backed up, but then let's say there are startups, growth stage companies, they are not in a stage to invest on tools, invest on AI, nothing as such, because what I am seeing currently with my clients as well, right? So that is where what comes, let's say they are hiring for one or two roles, and it's very crucial that they have to close these positions. At the same time, they don't have enough investments to make. Correct. So then, with being one role or two roles, like, we have to keep this going and make sure it's a product company, growth stage company. So how do we go about it? Let's say, let's take a single candidate and keep that roadmap, give that roadmap to the candidate, say that, this is, this many rounds of discussions would be there, this will be your timeline, every touch point is very important, keeping them engaged. Use your simple WhatsApp just to quickly, connect with them and say, here is the JD, go to the job description, talk about the company insights, talk about the company's growth. What is your growth for the next 2 years? What is company's growth in the next 2 years, or last 5 years in the company? So how the company has been growing, and that you can easily get it through LinkedIn insights as well. When you go to the company's page, you will get to see the graph of each of the employees, like moving in and moving out. You can see the graph easily, right? So I think that from the recruiter standpoint, when I talk about, I will this majorly touching upon the load, right? When you have it, but then at the same time, giving a human touch is very, very important. As Shweta was saying, tool is backed up, but then human touch is very important. But at the same time, when I think Sukanda, you also mentioned about, they gives us signal and we don't get it, right? So I'll just give a quick a case study. What happened very recently, the candidate who just dropped out at the last round of discussion. Have I not been connected to the candidate? No, I was connected to the candidate. But what was happening? The delay in the process of getting the feedback from the client, in order to give them the feedback, that took the entire process delay. And where we could have probably done a better job in terms of speeding up the process, right? And then eventually, as I said, lost for a competition. They joined some other company. Now, coming to the tools, yes, I think Shweta again said, and even Shreyas said, that we do have tools which talks about many things, but then sentiment analysis and then nudges, how often, just like that human touch, how often we even nudge the candidates and check in what's happening, right? We are co-creating the future for them, their life, their family as well. It's not just another candidate or another resume. So treat them like you are actually becoming a coach or a mentor. Set that, give that expectations from the company. You become an extended hand if you are from the consultant or you are from the company. Go ahead and just make them prepare, because it is something like you're bringing you're getting married and then the girl is coming to your home and you're expecting 100% to be matching. That never works. You're bringing somebody from some other place altogether, probably from a different zone. And then, but at least be that little, don't do that interrogation. Even this is for the interviewers and the technical team members. Don't interrogate them. Try to co-create their future. Just check if they are really suitable to board on your bus and sail with you, and then take up all the challenges that comes through the company's way. Can they generate revenue? Will they be able to generate revenue? At the end of the day, everything comes out from the business angle. Can this person sustain in the company and generate revenue for me? That's how the business would think, right? I think this is, I feel, tools, load, and mindset. I think mindset is one of the major thing, as I think Shreyas was saying and Shweta was also saying. It's all about numbers. Recruiters like, okay, I need to close this position, this is my target, and I have to close this position at any given point in time. So how often we think, okay, well, let's build a relationship. Come on, yeah, let's be practical. Hundreds of CVs, thousands of CVs. Am I really going to build relationship with thousands of people? No, it's not humanly possible. But then at least let's be a little empathetic when you're having that conversation, so that they stick on to you and through the entire process and make sure they're, kind of, you'll be able to sail through the journey. So I think that's what it is.
Right, and that was a beautiful metaphor that you used of, seeing the candidate as someone who's getting married to the organization, and that also depicts how we would like a candidate to be part of the family or as an
Yeah.
entire organization. So
Yeah.
amazing. Right. So my next question is to Ritika. We have talked a lot about what can we do pre-offer as an engagement. Do you think that it is time to rethink post-offer engagement as a shared responsibility across TA and business leaders?
Definitely should Sukanda, because it's not only recruiter's responsibility to make a candidate join. So we already have made this as a process where the panel is also equally important and equally responsible to talk to the candidate during their conversations over, during their interviews, that how they can also convince and pitch the organization, because technical aspect which they can pitch, of course recruiter cannot bring that flavor to the conversation. So certainly yes. So we are already working on this, and we have already made this as a norm where panel and recruiter both are responsible. And uh, releasing the offer would not be end here, especially for those candidates who are taking off 60 to 90 days notice period, which is very normal nowadays. You will not find any candidate 30 days or so. So getting in those areas, definitely we are doing, you know we are actually talking to them, making them connect with our technical panel also, any of the senior cadre who can talk to them, who can make them understand about the project, who can actually, because new technologies are bringing up on daily basis. It is very robust now, especially into IT industry or engineering side. So catching them on those notes, definitely it plays a role, so which we have already incorporated, and it is actually helping us. And we are parallelly, we are also doing decline surveys, where we are getting the reasons that why they are declining. So post offer engagement is actually helping, those surveys are actually helping us during post offer engagement, that how we are introducing newsletter to them, weekly connect that we have making sure that they are connecting, they are getting connected by every week. So these platforms we have already done.
Sure. And I think this is an interesting input of using the surveys as a tool to understand,
Yeah,
because that will give you more insight on how to improve the first hand.
yeah, because we are getting the real time reasons from them. Yeah,
Absolutely. And now, since we've talked about shared responsibility, I think it's time that we also talk about how to build a ghost-proof culture. So, processes, matrix, what truly sustains is a long-term change in the mindset and rituals. So, what we feel is that, when teams consciously build that transparency and trust into the hiring process, ghosting reduces significantly. And on that note, I have a question for Sweta. So, if you had to recommend one ritual or a communication practice or a checklist maybe to ghost proof the TA funnel, what would it be?
Just one recommendation would be to stay honest and proactive in communication. Like, half of the problem lies wherein recruiter waits that when the candidate will follow up, we will respond, right? And candidate most of the time keeps on waiting, recruiter has not responded. And somewhere in between, the entire communication channel gets lost, right? Of course, I have also have that journey of recruiter, and the only thing that has worked for me ever, again disclaimer, I'm not saying I never had a dropout, but one thing that has worked for me forever, I would say now, is having a very honest and clear communication. If I'm not hearing back from the client, I won't wait for a week or just ask them that let me call you back or let me get back to you, or not picking up the phone or not responding to email. Rather, I will just drop a note if I'm too busy, or pick up the phone for a few seconds and tell them, hey, I haven't heard back. Following up seems to be taking some time. I think this is easier and the candidate gets a closer. I think With this recommendation, one suggestion to the people who are hearing this out: when you don't get answers, you don't feel happy about it. Similar is the case for the candidates also. When they don't get answers, they don't feel happy about it. Everyone deserves a closure, whether you use your phone call, your email, your technology or tool, whatever it is. But try to give them a closure. At least tell them a no. At least tell them, hey, I can't control the process. Things are on hold. Right? Trust me, ghosting is not an answer, but if you go and tell them a clear no, you didn't work out, no, the process is on hold, your CV is on hold, whatever it is, they get a closure. They will never come back questioning you and your intentions, right? So maintain a proactive and clear communication channel and just be honest. You don't have to make stories around it. It's taking time, tell them it's taking time. And of course, tell the hiring manager as well that you may lose the candidate since you're taking time. You can maintain the same common, clear communication channel both the ways, right? Don't have to frame stories around it.
Right. I think being honest and giving them a direct answer is much better than not giving anything at all. Right.
Yes.
Nanda, I would like to add here, as Shweta said, that you just tell to your stakeholders also. So we are actually doing that right now. That we wrote in the email itself that this is the last date that we can expect any response from the candidate. Whether it's they are taking or not, definitely it's their shared responsibility again. So that they cannot come back to you and say that we lost the opportunity or we lost to the competition, or lots of things comes up. So that date, last date or something, we called it expiry date. So anything that we can share with the stakeholders. Yeah.
Absolutely. And talking about closure, any closing thoughts that we have from the panel? Anyone who'd like to, share some closing thought?
I can start.
Yeah.
I think lots of pressure, lots of roles to fill, thousands of resumes to deal with, and lots of technology which is becoming scary as well at one point. We feel so, right? One thing that has always been consistent and will always be consistent is the empathy, right? And maybe, of course, in other words, putting yourself in the shoes. When you don't get answers, you don't like it. They also don't like it, right? Let's see how we can best optimize it. That is something we'll have to keep feeling in, have the process humane. And another advice is you are the industry expert. If you're working as a talent acquisition professional, that means you know your world. You can actually mentor the other person, right? So if you are able to build that relationship, of course, you can't build relationship with thousands of people with one call. Very practical. But if you are able to retain five out of those thousands and build a relationship, those will be a lifelong relationship for you. People grow in life. Someone who is working as a senior developer now will become a director a few years later, and that relationship will still be yours. So it's never bad to build that relationship.
Right. Right. And that also opens up a relationship for future also if you want to rehire that person or consider them for a
Yes,
future.
industry thrives on networking, especially when you grow in your role. Everything thrives on networking and relationship. We know it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Anyone else who would like to pitch in?
I'd like to jump in over here. First of all, some amazing ideas and steps and honest opinions shared over here. Kudos to all the panel members. And one thing I would start off by talking about AI. For example, there's a it's the biggest buzzword as of now. Everybody's thinking, talking, or learning, discovering AI. I think so. Shweta did put it across very well. If I had if I hope everybody remembers one sentence around AI out of this webinar, that should be: look at it as a supplement, not a substitute. Now, that one statement or sentence is going to help you not waste a lot of your time and effort and money look at the entire, what does a recruiter do in a normal day, in a week, and what exactly do you want to achieve. Keep people, talent in the middle of your universe. It's the be all end all. And design KRAs, KPIs, enable processes, enable structure to ensure the best engagement, to ensure that candidates are happy with the process, candidates know what is happening, expectation management is done very well. um, in the very beginning of the webinar, I think so Shweta did mention, don't use AI to make things colder. That's really important. Everybody needs to keep in mind that if people feel that they are just one of the many, they will ghost you. If you consider people as an option, you are an option for them. There are thousands of companies out there. Build a very good relationship. AI tools, there'll be 10,000 of them. It doesn't matter. One tool may be cheaper, the other tool may be a little better, but don't look at it as a substitute. It's a supplement. Remember, build a relationship. And some of the analysis, some of the analogy was best. The person pointed out, candidate coming into the company is as good as you getting married. That's amazing. Even better is you are a co-creator of their career. One of the companies that I worked for, a really small product based company in Pune, one marvelous thing started happening over there. I saw some of the data engineers were there for 7 years. Now, what was magical about that was these data engineers were getting a lot of calls from competitors for sure, 2x, 3x salary, but they were still staying back. One of the things that I understood about the founder and the talent acquisition professionals were that they were great storytellers. They would understand the why of the candidate. Why is it you're looking for a job opportunity now? What do you want out of life? What do you want out of career in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years? And if they haven't thought about it, induce those answers from them. Understand what problem they are trying to solve, and then tell them how being part of your company solves that problem, and continue to repeat that message. That will hold on. That will help you hold on to the candidate. I mean, at the end of the day, recruitment is a little bit of sales. It's numbers, it's selling. You're selling a career. Do a good thing, be a good storyteller. Look at AI as an enablement function. Don't think that there is an AI tool out there that will solve all your problems. And be honest, if you're a leader, look at your entire process. Are you enabling your people to do the right thing and help them be a better talent acquisition professional? Thank you.
Sugandha, I would like to add one last one liner. That is, we often get to hear, I'll get back to you. So, okay, I think let's all avoid saying that as I'll get back to you, rather become more, more realistic and be real in saying what's actually happening, which Shweta was saying. Be honest. I think that will work out wonders. And candidates will never ghost you for surely.
Right. And this has become a meme for sure, this particular line. Right. Thank you so much. And now moving on to our Q&A section, we have a couple of questions. So the first question is for Sweta. Creating a custom AI tool can involve significant costs. Could you please share some standard and economical approaches to effectively track and manage offer dropouts from
So
Mani?
I'm not sure if it was only me, but I lost you in between for a few seconds. If in
Okay.
case you can repeat it for me, please.
Yeah, sure. So, Mansi is asking that creating a custom AI tool can involve significant costs. So, could you please share some standard and economical approaches to effectively track and manage offer dropouts?
Sure. She's looking for KPIs, right?
As you had mentioned some tools, so she's asking that it may add to some significant cost. So, for example,
Significant cost. So without tool, what processes we can add? Right.
right.
So yes, offer dropout processes or measurement processes can be tracking it around. So I would not term as offer dropout, Mansi. I would term it as dropout in the hiring funnel process. So of course, AI is an investment, and not every company would want to prioritize it at one point, right? I mean, companies are evolving with it, and that's totally understandable. Meanwhile, what you should do is start tracking it from the funnel dropout perspective, which I think one of my counterpart also discussed about it, right? So when we talk about the funnel dropout, it will be interesting to hear or see at which stage are you having a maximum dropout. Someone, oh, if they have spent time 5 to 6 hours of their life to go through 5 to 6 rounds of interview, if that much of interview rounds are happening, at one point I'm sure you know that person is interested. But if they are dropping out after that, something has been missing in the process. And once you do that tracking and once you start talking to those people who are dropping out at that stage. So one interesting thing what we did when we didn't had the AI tool in one of my companies, we started tracking this funnel from the dropout perspective. And then we started picking out 5 or 6 random cases and talking to them. What was the reason? So, in fact, I ended up seeing the initial data. I ended up appointing a person to do all that research and let me know at what funnel, what was the key 3 reasons why people were dropping out, right? First, after application screening, the major dropout reason from the process was they weren't very much interested or going through the JD. It was majority of the people who were looking for a change and just clicking to all the apply buttons for that matter, right? So if they see a software developer, so software developer, Java skill set, let's apply. But later on, when they see other things, they might find that mismatch and then dropping out from the process. That was the first reason. Second reason was when they have applied today and the team is reaching out to them after 2 weeks, and when they are already in market, they might be in the hiring process already. And with the companies always preferring to have people who can join us early, it becomes further difficult. So if there is a delay in response time, and if the person has not been very cognizant of what role and JD they are applying to, these were the common reasons why at the start application screening stage we had lots of dropouts at that point of time. Right? I'm just sharing one example. I'm not going to explain you about every level. Interesting finding about why candidate dropped out after offer. Some of the interesting find out, like we do have some generic reasons, right? Branding can be a problem, compensation can be a problem, hard skill can be a problem, right? So when you find out those generic and common reasons, you find out what are the major 1 or 2 challenges which you should start addressing at the first stage. Say for example, if branding is a major problem, maybe with the companies like who are startups and all, and that is not something you can solve in 1 day or 1 month. Brands take time to get built and get that recognition in the market. So to address that problem, what should be your strategy around it? So once you start gathering and doing those funnel analysis, your further strategies gets related to it, right? If you have maximum dropout in interview process, right? So there can be a couple of very interesting findings here also. Say for example, you have 5 rounds of interview, which takes good 2 months of time to complete the hiring process. Do you think a candidate who is in market will wait for 2 months for you? Or will only wait for you for that matter if they're still available, unless and until you are world's top 10 name, they and you are not their dream company, they might not want to wait for only you for next 2 months, right? If they are applying to you, they might be applying to 10 other companies also. So somehow you are losing the game. So strategy should be that go back to it with that data, talk to your hiring leaders, business leaders, and tell them that why don't we squeeze it that we complete this entire hiring process in 2 to 3 weeks of time. Maybe squeeze the interview process, make it around 2 to 3 rounds instead of having a 5 different round in 2 months of time. That's where your strategy comes in. Again, another analysis and understanding can be if you have certain set of interview panels who are doing maximum rejections, right? Or if after selection also the people are dropping out, that is also an area where you would want to probe further. Are they giving a good experience at the time of interview to the candidates? Is there a gap? Should you do some analysis around it or some introspection with while sitting with that particular panel? Where is the gap? Right? I do remember one of my team member highlighted a case wherein one interview panel, he started the interview in one of the companies. He started the interview and then he had someone knocked at the door. He went to attend that person for 15 minutes. He didn't come back. And this person was waiting, right? And that person, after that experience, dropped out from the process, which is very natural, right? So once you start those analysis, you understand where the problem is And then you start strategizing and mitigating those risks and problems. Hope I answered the question.
Yes, and I think it was quite in depth. And we would have loved to continue it, but in the interest of time, we'll have to take a pause here. And we will continue this conversation on HR Commune, which is a community of HRs. But before that, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank the panelists a lot for their powerful insights, and to everyone in the audience for joining us today. If there's one takeaway, it's this: that ghosting is not just a candidate problem, but a process, culture, and a communication challenge that smart recruiters can solve with empathy, strategy, and collaboration. We hope all of you are leaving with some actionable ideas to take back home. And before we close this, I would like to introduce HR Commune, a community of 1,500 plus HRs that is built for those who are ready to shift from operational roles to strategic leadership. It's a space where CHROs, HRBPs, and early career professionals connect to share real stories, sharpen business acumen, and shape the future of work together. I would just quickly like to share a QR code. This is a QR code that you can quickly scan and join in just 2 steps. So we will continue this conversation, and the questions, there were more amazing questions that we would have loved to take up, and our panels would have loved to answer. But we will post the video of the webinar along with the questions, and our panel members will be answering them.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And thank you again to our amazing panel. We loved your stories. We loved your honest insights and useful information that definitely our audience would love to use and implement. And thank you so much, audience. Hope to see you in HR Commune and take this discussion forward. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you,
Thank you.
Surendra. Thank you so much.